Good evening, everyone, and welcome out to Speed Racing Network, where we are presenting the 4-Wide Racing week number 21 here at the Magic Mile at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We got the Cup cars out there tonight. It's a fixed setup, so everybody has equal cars. It's just coming down to who's the best driver, and we have 200 laps to figure that out. Only one fast repair, and I guarantee you, just knowing New Hampshire, knowing the way that this track drives, they are probably going to need that very early. This track is one of those very, very flat tracks that's out there. You have to lower your speed, and a lot of people don't like to lower their speed in racing. So they have to get used to lowering that speed, get some grip in the corners, and then gain the speed on the straightaways in order to win this race. But you got to keep the car clean. That's going to be the hardest part tonight, is just keeping it clean, keeping it out of the wall, keeping it out of the other drivers. And so it's going to be a fantastic race tonight. Should be a lot of action out there on the track. They are out there right now qualifying. They're just getting everything started. We've got 4 minutes left to the green flag. Let's check out the Cup standings. So right now, James Holtzer up top with 705 points. He's got 3 wins on the season. Austin Reedy, though, he has been catching up all year long. So here he comes. He is catching up. He's only about 34 points down right now with 4 races to go. Nick Vizzutti, he passed Tyler Murray this past week in points. They are side by side. He's got 651. Tyler Murray's got 650. So it's anybody's race still with 4 races to go. You just never know who's going to pop in there. And if James Holtzer has one bad race, that's all it's going to take for all 3 of these guys to jump up there and possibly take that lead. Speaking of James Holtzer and Austin Reedy, so these two have been going back and forth all year long, but take a look at the gap here. So after race number 17, there was a 78-point gap between the two of them. Austin Reedy ran a great race the very next race, and he gained 25 points on him. So now it's only a 53-point gap. Then one more race after that, gained another 10 points. So now it's only a 43-point gap. Then he gained 9 points in the last race. So now it's a 34-point gap. With 4 races to go, if Austin Reedy can keep up at that pace, then he is going to pass James Holtzer in the very last race. And so this is really anybody's series, and that's what's really fun about it, is this gets settled out on the track, and this is one of those types of series that anybody can win on any week. Last week, Austin Reedy actually brought home the checkered flag and had a fantastic race. That was his first win of the season. We'll jump back to the Cup standings here and talk about a few more of these guys. So Tyler Werner, he's got 1 Cup win, but he also has 7 top 5s, 14 top 10s, so a very consistent racer there. Brandon Gillis, he is up there as well, up in 6th, but he's going to need some help to catch up to James Holtzer at least. And then a few of these other guys are definitely in the race this week. A few of them that I will touch on. Chris Massey down there in 10th place, and he's not going to catch James Holtzer, but he is a fantastic racer. Roman Long, he's the leader of 4-Wide Racing. He's a fantastic racer as well. So you just never know tonight. And we do have some wild cards out there tonight as well that we'll introduce you to along the way. A couple of them that I'm looking at right now. We got Mitch Brown, who is not on this top 10 list, but right now he's currently up in the pole position. Then we have Jake Rowell, who's coming over from a couple other leagues that Chris Massey drives in. So really great racer over there. He's got a couple wins in a different series. And then I'm looking to see who else we've got in the list here. Brian O'Shell, fantastic racer. Chad Wampler, great racer in his own right. David Duke, also a fantastic racer and a former crew chief on the Busch series. So we've got a great list of drivers out here. And it's just going to come down to who can gain traction, who can really get it around the corner. But while we're pre-race, we still have another minute to go before we get to the green flag. I want you to take a quick look at what we've got going on this off season. So this off season, we're going to have a league. And so it starts on October the 6th at Daytona. We're going to test out a few different things here. We're going to test out stage racing, and we're also going to test out some playoff systems. And so come on in, have some fun with us. It's only, it looks like a 10-week season, and then it looks like a 5-week playoff. And so we got some great tracks on there. Bristol at night is always fun. Daytona itself, always fun. Nashville at night is on there. That's a brand new track. So just came out today. North Wilkesboro, that was a brand new track about a month ago. So, I mean, we got some great tracks on here that we're really going to have some fun with. Charlotte Roval is always a blast. And all of that is going to be in the Xfinity cars. And so really that just adds another element to it because the Xfinity cars are not as stable as the Cup cars that we're in tonight. And so they're going to have to learn how to get those cars around the track without spinning out. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of spin outs here tonight because once again, this is New Hampshire. This is the Magic Mile 200. And the reason they call it the Magic Mile is it takes some magic to get around this place. So let's pull up and see what our grid looks like tonight because qualifying is now over. So up in the first position, Mitchell Brown. He is coming in at 29.852. James Holtzer, there's our points leader. He is right up there as well. Nick Vizzutti, he has a chance to overtake Holtzer if he has a few more good races. Chris Massey, we talked about a little bit earlier, he's back in 10th place in the points, but he is up in 4th place to start this race off. Craig Lautenslager in 5th, Tyler Murray in 6th, Jay Gimbel in 7th, Chad Wampler in 8th, David Duke in 9th, and Austin Reedy, there he is right there. So he is the one trying to catch James Holtzer and has the best shot at doing it. He is going to start in 10th, so he's got a little bit of ways to go. Roman Long in 11th and Brian O'Shell in 12th. So great top 12 there. Really, any of those top 12, if they cross the finish line first, nobody would be surprised with any of those top 12s, honestly. So, all right, looks like we are going to possibly get this party started here really soon. So let's jump down there to the track. And the pace car is going to start them off here. So we're going to get one lap around. Oh, looks like the number 9 back there, Brandon Gillis, is already a little bit out of whack. So we'll have to get him fixed up. But we are going to get Mitchell Brown bringing us to the line. And, of course, James Holtzer on his outside, who right now he's got the inside line on the points, but the outside line here. So this is going to be a really interesting first couple of turns. Like I said, there is zero grip out there. So this is one of those tracks where you are going to basically have to use the brake. So a lot of tracks you can just let off the gas. This is one where you have to let off and hit that brake in order to get around. So we're going to get around turns 3 and 4 here, and then Mitchell Brown is going to bring us to the green flag here at the Magic Mile. And Mitchell Brown takes off. He's going to get that inside corner. And you can see Holtzer just trying to get down there to the bottom. We've got a little bit of blinking going on, so that's, I believe Nicholas Vizzutti is blinking out there, so everybody should be careful for that. But Mitchell Brown is going to break away a little bit. And he is going to get us started coming around turns 3 and 4. And we got 200 of these things to go, so we got a nice long way, and people can just kind of get settled in. If you can get into a rhythm here, then you have a shot to win. But if you get out of rhythm or out of sync at all, that is when you start making mistakes like pushing the throttle too much. So that is something that we saw in practice, though we didn't show any of the practice here. A lot of people were spinning out because they were trying to gas out of the turns. Oh, and we already have a caution. So just like I was saying, this is one of those deals where it's going to be a lot of cautions out here tonight, I believe, guys. So let's go back and check out a Dent Wizard Rec replay. And we are going to take a look at that number 79. That's David Duke. It looks like, oh, he just gets hit and sent into the infield. And we're going to see it. Oh, we got some other guys spinning there. So the number 33, that's Tyler Werner. And then I see the number 44 back there. That's Larry Rayburn. And then the number 5 back there as well. So we've got all sorts of damage out there on the track already. Let's see if we can't go back and see where some of the other wrecking came from. So let's check this out from Brian O'Shell's point of view here. And he's in that 0-3, and he just gets hit around like a ping pong ball or a pinball or whichever kind of ball you want to talk about. But just really a bad start to this race. Only a couple laps in and our first yellow flag. Well, let's go back up front. And let's see who all is going to pit, who all is going to stay out. It looks like Brian O'Shell, Tyler Werner, and Cade Gimble all in the pits right now. Cade Gimble back there doesn't look like they're using the fast repair just yet, and maybe that's a strategy move where they're going to want to save that until later. We will find out. But a lot of times when you don't use that fast repair, it does not help you at all because you're going to have to go through and get some real damage fixed. So that may have been a mistake on their part where they did not click the fast repair button. No, but it looks like they're back out here. So maybe that is a strategy call on their part. But up front, Mitchell Brown leading the race just like he's led the race the entire time so far. Only 5 laps in. Everybody sit back, relax, settle in, because like I said, we've got 195 more laps of this, and this is one really difficult track. Just really quickly going through some of the cars that we have in the race right now. That is Mitchell Brown, and we will pull that up. So Mitchell Brown is in the number 51 car. James Holtzer in the Clover car there, in the green Clover car. Craig Lautenslager in the number 13 Sitco car. Chris Massey is in the number 83, and that is the Bronco Motorsports car. Tyler Murray in the High Life Sports with Nicky C. and Elm, and that's the number 8 car. Nick Vizzutti out there in the Iovox car, the number 75. Chad Wampler out here representing Steak Dance, which is a fantastic steak seasoning. But up front, we are back to green. Mitchell Brown back on the gas pedal and jumps right back out there in the lead again. And we will see how long we go this time. Hopefully everybody's kind of settled in a little bit. Got plenty of time to do racing tonight if everybody just stays clean. And you can see that Mitchell Brown has opened up a 0.3 of a second lead on Holtzer. And just to kind of take you through, so the biggest gainer so far is Jake Rowell, and here he comes in the number 19 car. He is a very, very aggressive driver, a very safe driver, just very, very aggressive. One thing that he is not known for is saving tires, just because he guns it as hard as he can. So he is hoping that there are plenty of cautions so that he can change those tires out quite frequently, because if not, he's not that good on the long run typically. Oh, and it looks like we got Robert Ballard is kind of all over the track right now. He'll get that car under control and stay out there, but still under green. And so far, not really a challenge for the lead just yet. I think Holtzer's just kind of biding his time a little bit. Again, we've got 192 more laps of this, so no sense in trying to overtake right now too aggressively. But speaking of aggression, look who's already moved all the way up to 3rd place. He started off in 17th. He is up 14 positions. This is Jake Rowell out of Michigan in the number 19 car. And you can see how quickly he is closing that gap. And a lot of that is because he is not saving tires at all. And so that could be a good thing if we get a lot of short runs, but it could be a really bad thing if we get a lot of long runs. You can see everybody's pretty much filtered out into a single file line, and that's to be expected here. Although we do have a wreck, and we've got Tyler Werner, I believe. Tyler Werner has wrecked and is spinning out on the track right now. And so we will go back once again to another Dent Wizard wreck replay and see if we can't figure out what happened there. And you can see, so, looks like the number 9 of Brandon Gillis gets a little loose, starts spinning, and then Tyler Werner had to check up and go to the inside. So let's go back one more time and check this out from Brandon Gillis's point of view. And so you can see he just loses grip and just starts to float around, and that's going to be extremely common here. This is a very flat track, and when you don't have banking, and it has a little bit of banking, but if you don't have a lot of banking there, then it is very difficult to get the car turned when you're at speed. And that's just what happened there. Just a little bit too much speed, and that car just started turning a little bit. All right, some of the leaders coming into pit road right now. So James Holtzer coming in. Jake Rowell decides to stay out. Tyler Murray stays out as well. Looks like we got a bunch of guys coming in, but a bunch of guys staying out too. So we will see what that does to everybody. I think this is a very smart move by Holtzer. Go ahead and get new tires while you can. Even though you're going to have to pass a few cars out there on the track, with those new tires, you got a better shot at doing that than some of these guys that are out there on the track right now. All right, once again, those of you that are just joining us, we are here at the Magic Mile 200 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where we've got 200 laps of fun tonight. And we do have a lot of stuff going on in the standings right now, and we will go through those here in just a few more minutes. Maybe in the next caution, we'll check those out one more time. But we do have a good standings race going on. There are about 4 guys that are in contention for that championship. But while we're doing that, let's take a look at a few more of these cars. So we got Larry Rayburn Jr., that's Wayne Rayburn in the Toy Story car, like that. Then we got Mike Eberhardt back there in the number 64 car. I believe that's the Dale Jr. Foundation there. So James Holtzer, we've already talked about him. That's our series leader right now. Craig Lautenslager, Chris Massey, we've talked about him. A few of these guys have already pitted. So David Duke in the number 79 car, the CMC fabrication car there. A little bit of damage on that hood already. So you see that Jay Gimbel in the Maytag car. Cade Gimbel in it shows up as number 2 on our scoring. It shows up as the number 5 there. So a little bit of a discrepancy in that, but that's okay. In the Lowe's car, the number 99, that is Roman Long. He is our series leader as far as he put the series together. So a lot of great guys out here. We'll talk about a few more of them as we go. But for now, let's jump right back up front where Mitch Brown has led every lap so far and continues to lead. We will come around turns 3 and 4. And now he's got Jake Rowell on his inside. So an interesting choice there. I'm sorry, that was turns 1 and 2. My apologies. Both sides of the track look so alike. But Jake Rowell is going to be there on the inside. Chad Wampler is going to be on the outside in that steak dance car. Actually had some steak dance seasoning tonight on some burgers. It was fantastic. So if anybody wants some great seasoning for steaks or burgers or any other type of meat, then steakdance.com is where you can get that. But Mitchell Brown will bring us back to the green. And he takes off. Jake Rowell gets a little bit sideways. Might have been a little bit of tire spin there. He's going to tuck in behind. See if he can't catch up. But these first 5 cars all stayed out. The first car out there that pitted is James Holtzer in the number 88 Clover car. So you can see the green car back there in 6th place. That is James Holtzer. So right now he has got the best chance of catching these guys because he is on brand new tires. Jake Rowell is going to jump to the inside. Oh, and he taps Mitchell going into that turn. But Jake goes a little bit outside. Oh, we do have a caution out there on the track. Looks like Jay Gimbel, Brandon Gillis, Tyler Werner, a few people all wrecked back there. So we're going to go to another Dent Wizard wreck replay and find out what happened back there. And you can see here just 3 cars all right up next to each other, and there's nowhere anybody can go. That was Austin Reedy that got into that car as well, that number 11 car that came into the picture. So that is the guy that is in second place right now in points. So not the damage that he wants to have right now. But that is the number 12 of Jay Gimbel that got a little bit out of shape there. We can go back and we can check that out one more time. And you can see just a lot of cars all getting together. Jay Gimbel gets sideways. And the 03, that's Brian O'Shell. And then Austin Reedy gets into him. And then Brandon Gillis also involved in that wreck. So, again, man, one fast repair. And a lot of guys are using those fast repairs up already. So this is going to be a very, very long race for them if that keeps up. And so you'll see a lot of those guys jump into the pits, either take a fast repair or maybe get some optional repairs done quickly and then get right back out there on the track. Jake Roell is listed as the leader at this point. He got into Mitchell Brown a little bit on going for the lead there, so not sure what they were thinking about that. But while we're back under yellow again, we'll go into the standings. So take a look. James Holtzer, he is up front. He has got a nice 34-point lead right now over Austin Reedy, who was just a little bit involved in that wreck. So he might have a little bit of damage there. A lot of times when you hit that front end, that car starts to heat up a little bit, and that could damage the motor. And that is not what he's going to be looking for in this race. And then you have Nick Vizzutti out there as well, who is currently sitting in 8th position on the track. Then Tyler Murray, who he and Nick Vizzutti are going back and forth in the points for 3rd and 4th. And Tyler is up in 4th place right now. So we got all those guys are still in this race, and they are still all going at it, trying to get that first place in the championship in this initial season of 4 Wide Racing. So this is the first season for 4 Wide, and of course, like we said before, we do have an off-season league that's coming up. It's going to be the Xfinity cars, just a 10-week regular season and then a 5-week playoff. There it is right there. So we're going to start off at Daytona on October 6th. So anybody that is out there, this is a really great league to kind of get your feet wet in. This is a great league to meet a lot of guys that know a lot about racing, but are also kind of laid back, and they are willing to help you learn how to race even more. So if you're one of those racers that needs kind of that comfort area, then come on out and join us in the Xfinity Off-Season League for 4 Wide Racing. Back out on track right now, Jake Roell, Captain Aggressive is what I'm going to call him today. Great driver. I've seen him race in a couple of other leagues as well. He's got a couple wins over in the Mid-South Madness League on Saturday nights. In fact, just won this past week as well. So very, very good driver, very aggressive driver out there. And he is going to bring us back to our green flag. Mitchell Brown, who led most of this race already, he is going to be on the outside. And then Chad Wampler and Tyler Murray are going to be your second row. Chad Wampler also in the Mid-South Madness League out there on Sunday nights as well. That is also broadcast here on Speed Racing Network. And Chad Wampler has a win in that series as well. So a couple of really great drivers out there. Not just in this series, but also in multiple other series. And they are putting on a show tonight because they are 2 of the front 4. And again, this is their first race in this league. So we're going to come around 3 and 4. The pace car is going to duck off. And here comes Jake Roell on the gas pedal. And he jumps out there to a nice little lead. And we'll see if we can get some green flag racing in here. We are only a 10th of the way into this race, and already a couple of cautions. I believe that was our 3rd caution. So 3 cautions in 20 laps. We've got to get some clean racing in here. You can see James Holtzer, he is going to the inside there of Chad Wampler. And he is going to try to take third position, but can't really hang on to it. So Chad's going to get the better line on the outside. And Jake Rowell still leading the race. And you can see he's opened up that lead to 0.4 of a second. And you can hear those tires squealing as he comes off that turn. He is using every bit of those tires. James Holtzer, he finally makes the pass on Chad Wampler. He moves into third position. And his biggest competition in the standings right now is Austin Reedy, who is back in 11th. So right now, he is sailing pretty good. And now Rowell has opened it up even further, 0.75 of a second. And so somebody's got to get up there and catch Rowell. Otherwise, this is going to be a very, very quick race. But I think the person on the move is James Holtzer. He is going to try to pass Mitchell Brown right here. Let's see if he can set him up in not quite this corner, but he's pretty good. He is gaining on him, and it looks like Rowell's going to run into some lap traffic up there as well. So that might do a little bit of damage to Rowell's chances to run away with it, but looks like he gets by pretty cleanly. I believe that is Robert Ballard. Oh, we got a spin back in the back. Looks like it was Lottenslogger that got a little bit sideways, but he got it back under control again. And I think Chad Wampler has some damage on his right front. We will check that out. Yeah, he definitely has some damage there. Yeah, you can see that right front is just completely popped up. And that is going to cause some aero issues. The bigger issue with something like that is if that hit the engine. Oh, and we've got, I believe that is the 99 of Roman Long, who is on the inside, and oh, he is spinning. So he's got some damage, but still green because he is out of the racing line. He's out of the way. So let's see if he can get back onto the racetrack cleanly. But while all that is going on, Jake Rowell has opened up a 1.5-second lead on the entire pack. And he's just running away with this, and he loves these short tracks. But second place, James Holtzer has made the pass on Mitchell Brown. And so James Holtzer is going to try to track down Jake Rowell now. Back in fourth place, Chris Massey has moved up into fourth place after Chad Wampler busted up his car a little bit. And so once again, Chris Massey, a really great racer. He is in 10th place in the standings right now in this particular league, but fantastic racer. And he is going to try to track these guys down, but it's going to be a little while on this short of a track. Let's see if there are any other movers right now. So Tyler Werner started off in 18th position. He is up in 14th right now, so he's moved up about 4 spots. But the biggest gainer right now started off in 17th, and now he is up in the lead. That is Jake Rowell. Huge Michigan State fan, huge Michigan, anything in Michigan fan. So I know he's a Detroit Red Wings fan as well. Just a great guy in general. He drives for Stryker Motorsports over in the Mid-South Madness League. And so he is up by about 1.5 seconds over James Holtzer, who is your points leader right now. And really, if you look, people have kind of spaced out a little bit, and that's kind of what you're looking for here at a short track. You want to make sure that people kind of stay away from you. But back here towards the back, oh, it looks like David Duke is catching up there to Vizzutti, and he makes the pass there for 7th place. And then Austin Reedy, he is coming to your picture there, so he is going to try to make the pass on Nick Vizzutti as well, because he has to track down Holtzer if he wants any chance at this championship. Vizzutti going down to the inside of David Duke. And he will make the pass for the time being, but again, you've got to step on the brakes so much there that a lot of times somebody on the outside can get a good run, and that's what David Duke's going to do. He's going to get a great run on the outside and take that position right back. All right, well, it looks like the gap here up front has gone down a little bit. And again, once you get into these long runs, that's where Jake Roel starts to fall off a little bit because he uses his tires so much in the early part of the run. Looks like we got Larry Rayburn off the track, and that's going to bring out a caution. So there goes the lead that Jake Roel had. So it is going to go away because of that spin. And let's just see if we can't go back and figure out what happened with that spin with another Dent Wizard Rec replay. They're the leader in paintless dent repair. And this is Wayne Rayburn in the Toy Story car. It looks like he just came off the corner a little hot. And when you come off the corner a little hot here, back end comes around and you just spin right out. And so that is all that happened there. He spins down to the inside. And right behind him, people kind of getting out of the way a little bit. But now that it's been such a long green flag run, now everybody is going to come into the pits. And so here they all come down into pit road. Jake Roel had the lead by about a second, but that has completely disappeared. It's like a magic trick here at the Magic Mile, just those leads disappear. And let's see who's going to win the race off of pit road. Here comes Jake Roel in the Black Furniture Road car. And it's going to look like it's Jake Roel is going to inherit the lead still. He's going to keep that lead. But James Holtzer is going to get a very, very welcome advantage here that he didn't have to catch up that entire second. Now he's right side by side with Jake Roel at the start. So Mitchell Brown, our pole sitter, will restart third. Chris Massey will restart fourth. Craig Lautenslager will restart fifth. And then David Duke will restart sixth. And so while we got a shot here, let's see if we can't get Jake Roel up here into the chat and see if we can't talk to him a little bit. Jake Roel, Sean up in the booth. How's it going, buddy?
What's going on, Sean? Not too bad.
Man, it looks like you're doing pretty good. You really love these short tracks, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like any short track, I don't know how it is, but I am pretty good at them.
Well, are you concerned at all about tires? I know we've been talking on the broadcast the entire time about a lot of times, and again, you're a very aggressive driver, a safe one, but an aggressive one, and a lot of times you burn up that right front really quickly on these short runs. Are you concerned that there will be a long run that'll drop you back?
No, I don't. For some reason on short tracks, I'm a lot better with tire management, so I don't have to worry about that. I think the only reason the 88 was catching me there, he had just pipped before that last green flag, so I think that was just difference of new tires versus old.
All right, so all new tires for everybody on the track right now. So what do you got for these guys?
If it stays green, I think I'll pull out to a sizable lead like I just had. But, I mean, you never know, I guess, so got to be optimistic to something.
All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate the interview. We will get you right back down into the chat, and then we will get back started.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
All right, buddy. So, again, that was Jake Roel. He is a member of Striker Motorsports, racing in other leagues. So, in this league, he is just an independent, and he is out there in the number 19 Furniture Row car. And on his outside, James Holtzer, the 88 that he was talking about, was catching him on that run. And, yes, Holtzer had a little bit newer tires, but now everybody's on even tires. Everybody pitted all at the same time here. So here we go. We're going to find out who is faster coming off of turns 3 and 4. Pace car drops off, and Jake Roel hits the gas pedal, and he takes off. He's going to jump out to the outside right there in front of James Holtzer, and he is going to take the lead into turns 1 and 2. Mitchell Brown goes down to the inside as well. He is going to try to take that second spot, but James Holtzer is going to get a great run off the corner, and he is going to drop into second, and everybody's going to have to start lining up. Oh, and we got another yellow flag. No yellow flag, and it looks like Robert Ballard. Robert Ballard is he's already a lap down, but it looks like he is in the grass right now. So we will go back and find out what happened there with another Dent Wizard Rec replay. And we're going to see, it looks like somebody just came down across the nose. And I want to say that's the number 12. That's Jay Gimble. And then the number 9 car of Brandon Gillis, and then the 32 of Robert Ballard. So let's back that up a little bit, and let's find out what else happened. See if we can get a better angle on that. So yeah, it just looks like the number 12 of Jay Gimble kind of gets up into the front of the number 9, Brandon Gillis, and then Robert Ballard is just an innocent bystander until he plows into that inside wall. So again, another yellow flag. So that is yellow flag number 5 on the night. And if we keep getting yellow flags like this, we are going to come into a battle of attrition, because only one fast repair, if all these guys keep on wrecking out, there are going to be very few cars out on this track. So we are only a fifth of the way into this race. And we have already had 5 cautions. So like we were saying at the very start of the broadcast, really difficult track. And you are seeing that here right now. There is just nothing that these guys can do besides slow down, and drivers just don't like slowing down. One guy that's not slowing down up front, Jake Rowell, he said that he's not really worried about his tires, that he's pretty good at tire management on short tracks, and we'll see how that works out for him. It doesn't look like anybody's going to pit right now except for the guys that were involved in that wreck. So pretty much everybody's still an even keel when it comes to tires out there on the track. Let's see if we've introduced everybody already. So here's Brandon Gillis in the 9 Under Armour car. I believe we've already talked about Roman Long in the 99 Lowe's car. We've got Mike Eberhardt. I think we've already talked to him as well, or talked about him as well, for the Dale Jr. Foundation. Cade Gimble in the Kellogg's Cornflakes car. So a lot of great paint jobs out there, and definitely if you're looking to have some fun on iRacing, definitely find a good painter, get some fun paints on there, make it a good time. But out front, I think we're going to go one more lap under caution, and then we are going to get right back to it. I'd like to thank all 11 viewers that are out there right now. Go ahead and mash that like button while you're there. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel too. We have a lot of racing on Speed Racing Network. We do have some other fantastic broadcasters as well. So on Friday nights we do the IVCS, the iRacing Virtual Cup Series, which is a fantastic race. It is as close to NASCAR racing as you're going to get. So no fast repairs in the Cup cars, open setups, a lot of fun in that race. And then Sunday nights we have the Mid-South Madness League. This is season 2 that we're in right now. We are getting closer to the playoffs there. You'll see some of these racers in that league. Jake Rowell, Chris Massey, David Duke, Brian O'Shell, Chad Wampler. All those drivers are in that league as well. So a lot of fun there. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and watch us do a little bit more racing throughout the week. So pace car drops off. And once again, Jake Rowell is going to bring us to the green flag. With James Holtzer right there on his outside, Jake Rowell once again tries to get up top, but he kind of ran out of room there. And Holtzer is going to take a great angle into that turn, and he is not going to let Jake get too far away. let's just see how this kind of shakes out a little bit. Mitchell Brown back there in third, Chris Massey in fourth. David Duke, fantastic driver and fantastic crew chief back in the Busch days, the Busch Series days. He is back in fifth place. But right now, Jake Rowell holding about a quarter-second lead, and it looks like he gains on the straightaways but loses a little bit of time in the corners here. So Holtzer might be catching him there, just maybe a better angle into the corners, but then Jake just breaks away on the straightaways each time. And anybody that's in iRacing knows that there was a brand new download today, so a new update out there. So a lot of these guys are still trying to figure out that update because my understanding is there was a little bit of a new tire model, a little bit of some changes to the old tire model. So some guys out there are still going to be trying to figure this out just a little bit. It wasn't a massive change, but it's enough that the good drivers can feel it and know that it's different. And now Rowell has opened up to a half-second lead. So just like he was saying on the interview, he thinks that he is going to put a little bit of distance on the group. But that distance really doesn't matter if there keeps being as many cautions as there are. Currently, it looks like we got 16 drivers on the lead lap. We got a little bit of good racing back here in the back. That's David Duke and Craig Lautenschlager. They are battling for fifth place. Duke is on the outside in the 79 car. Lautenschlager on the inside in the 13 Sitco car. And Lautenschlager is going to get that position. And then you have Wampler there in the 87 car. Again, he sustained some damage a little bit earlier. He has not fixed that damage yet. He is going to save that fast repair for later. But he's going to get on the inside of David Duke and try to make that pass. And he is not going to be able to make that pass. That inside line, the hardest part about that is A, getting the grip, and B, getting speed off the turn. Oh, and Chad Wampler gets into, I can't even see who, I think that was Nick Vizzutti that he got into. So, but they both get straight again, and Austin Reedy takes advantage. Austin Reedy is going to move up into 7th place. So a little bit of contact there. Both cars went spinning a little bit, but they both got it back under control, still under green. There's Austin Reedy trying to make it stick on the inside. And again, like we were just saying, the inside line is really tough here because you can't make that turn without slowing down. And when you slow down, the outside line just goes right past. And you can see Chad Wampler just goes right past him on the outside like it's nothing. But up front, Jake Rowell, he has now jumped out to a 1.25 second lead. So just like he predicted, he is putting a little bit of distance on the pack. Mitchell Brown, he's in third right now, trying to track down James Holtzer. That's going to be a tall task for him. And then 3 seconds back from that, Chris Massey is leading the second pack. Actually, right now, he's all by himself. Behind him is Craig Lautenschlager. Everybody's starting to kind of space out a little bit. Only 16 cars on the lead lap. But if we go back, we can see, once again, I think that's Brian O'Shell in the 03 car there on the outside, and that's Vizzutti on the inside. So you can see how well that outside line works as O'Shell takes that position. Roman Long gets a little bit out of shape there in the Lowe's car. He's going to get right back in line and keep on going. And it looks like we got Joseph DuPont out there in the chat. How's it going, Joseph? Good to see you. I'm glad you could join us. We love seeing those drivers. That's another driver from the Sunday night Mid-South Madness League, an incredible road racer as well, an incredible road course driver. So can't wait to see him in some road course driving later on this year. But up front, Jake Rowell, 1.2 second lead. And again, it was 1.25 seconds. Now it's down to just over a second. So So Holtzer's catching up just a hair, and then he catches up in one segment and then loses it in another. So averaging out, Jake Roel is starting to pull away a little bit. It looks like we got a car a little bit out of shape up there. I believe that's one of the lap vehicles. That's Robert Ballard there without a hood. So everybody's going to get around him. He's just going to stay out of the way, out to the outside. Jake Roel just walking on sunshine right now, just running away with this thing. He's opened up a 2.5 now. So just a couple laps after he was 1.25 seconds. Now he is 1.5 seconds. So he is definitely gaining a big lead. He is just hoping this thing stays green the whole way. Up in second, James Holtzer. He is our points leader. Jake is not really a danger to him as far as the points is concerned because Jake is a brand new driver this week. But James Holtzer could put a virtual hammerlock on this points championship if he has a great showing tonight, and if a couple of the other guys have bad showings. Which right now the one that's closest to him in that top 4 in the standings is Austin Reedy, and he is up in 7th place. So he could gain some much needed points over Austin Reedy, a little bit of breathing room for him if he can do that. But he's going to have some company here pretty shortly. Looks like Mitchell Brown is starting to close a little bit. And then back towards the back, Nick Vizzutti is once again in a little bit of a battle for position back here with Tyler Murray and Brian O'Shell. So Brian O'Shell has to check up. He almost got into the back of Vizzutti there. Brian O'Shell, literally the best hair in the entire iRacing scene. So if you don't know who Brian O'Shell is, he is just a fantastic guy. He's got the best mullet I've ever seen, along with Pit Viper glasses. He is just a lot of fun to watch race, and a really great guy to know. So glad to see him out here tonight. You can see the gap between Jake Roel in the black car and then James Holtzer in the green car. It's 1.5 seconds and a lap car between them as well. So, and Holtzer will pass that lap vehicle and keep on moving. But Mitchell Brown, he's lost about a second there on Holtzer as well. So right now it looks like Jake's race to lose, and then James Holtzer just needs to hold on to that position. Whether he wins this race or not, he just needs to hold that second place position so he can keep that points championship lead. Let's see if we can find some other racing out there on the track. So still going back to Brian O'Shell, Nick Vizzutti. They are still the closest two on the track, I believe. So this little group of 3 cars, they've been racing each other here for about the last 10 to 15 laps. On the inside there, you can see Austin Reedy in that 11. And you can see that David Duke is catching him right now in the 79 CMC fabrication car. And David Duke is just a master of setting people up and then passing them when the time is right. So he is a very patient driver. He is a very clean driver, very consistent driver. So he is not overly aggressive. He just waits for you to make a mistake and then he capitalizes on it. But Austin Reedy is going to maintain that position. And again, I think the outside line here is working a little bit better than the inside line if you can get out there and you can hold it. But we are 60 laps in now of 200 laps. Still a long way to go. So this patient driving that David Duke's doing right now will serve him well going forward. He is excellent at saving tires and saving fuel. So that could be one of those things where he's just going to tuck in behind Reedy and let him drag him around the track so that way he can save some fuel, save some tires. But up front, Jake Roel still a second, 1.1 seconds ahead of James Holtzer. But that was 1.5 seconds, so Holtzer is definitely starting to close the gap a little bit. But it'll be definitely a few more laps before he gets there. So let's see who else is pretty close to each other and out there on the track. Jumping back to Austin Reedy again back here in 7th place. David Duke right on his tail. You can see the gap there. You can see how flat the track is. And so that's causing all the drivers to have to use those brakes. But if you use them too much or too soon, oh, we got a yellow flag. Let's go back and find out what happened here. Not sure where the yellow flag came from exactly. Let's go back and see what we can see here with another Dent Wizard Rec replay. And not really seeing exactly where the yellow flag came from. So I'm not really sure. Not really sure what caused that yellow flag to be flown. Don't really see anybody that's drastically off the pace. So I apologize, we don't have a replay of that yellow flag. Not really sure what happened there. Oh, was it Jake Rowell? It may have been Jake Rowell. Let's go back and check one more time here. Oh, it was Jake Rowell. Oh my gosh, he gets loose, just like what we were talking about. If you overdo it in those corners, you will spin out, and so the leader spins out, brings out the yellow flag, and he will drop down in the ranks right now, and that will give the lead, it looks like, to Mitchell Brown for the time being. Nope, it looks like James Holtzer is going to come out in the lead, come out of the pits in the lead. So Mitchell Brown looks like it might be some damage that needs to be repaired there because it's taken a little while longer in the pits than normal. So James Holtzer is going to inherit the lead after Jake Rowell goes spinning. And we'll check that one more time. You can see he just gets loose and luckily keeps it off the wall, so there's not going to be a lot of damage to the car, which is great because any damage here, of course, you only get one fast repair, so you want to save that as long as you possibly can, but just a little bit of over-aggression off the corner. And that's all it takes here at New Hampshire. It is such a flat track that you just cannot hold on to it if you are a little bit too aggressive. So up front, James Holtzer, our points leader, and now the leader of this race. And you can see those point standings. So James Holtzer, 705 points. Everybody else chasing him down. Realistically, the only people that have a chance to catch him without miracles happening are Austin Reedy there in second place, who is 34 points behind, Nick Vizzutti, who is 54 points behind, and Tyler Murray, who is 55 points behind. But all three of them are going to have James Holtzer kind of come back to them a little bit, even if they win all four of the next four races. If James Holtzer doesn't have a bad week, then he likely will still hold on to the championship lead. So definitely they need all the help they can get out there on the track. So the number 88 Clover car. And then on the inside is Jake Rowell, who just spun himself right out of the lead. Back in third, Craig Lautenslager. And then in fourth, Chris Massey. So I believe Mitchell Brown, who was up in third for a while, he is back in 11th position now. So had to get some stuff taken care of on pit road. Looks like he did. So he is going to have to fight his way right back through the pack. That was our pole sitter. And now he is sitting back 10 positions back further than what he was. And the pace car is going to dive off. James Holtzer waiting, and then he takes off. So he is going to get a nice little lead off that restart. And he is going to tell Jake Roel, you got to come and catch me, buddy. And so Holtzer in a very comfortable position for him. This is where he shines, is when he's up front. But again, Jake Roel just dives into that corner hard. And he's going to have to brake, and that allows Holtzer to jump right back out in front. And once again, look at Roel diving hard in that corner, trying desperately to clear Holtzer on the outside, but he can't do it there either. So Holtzer's going to get a good run. And it looks like Roel, he's going to give it one more shot, it looks like. Down to the inside, technically has the lead right here, but he's got to brake. And then Holtzer just takes right back off again. So Jake's going to have to change his strategy here a little bit. He is just right there on that inside quarter panel. And again, he's right up there next to him, and he gets a nose on him, but cannot clear Holtzer. And, he might be able to do it this time. So Jake dives in really hard, jumps up in front of Holtzer. And Holtzer's going to try to cross over. But Jake Roel back up to the lead, passing Holtzer in turns 3 and 4. Chris Massey up to 3rd place. And so he loved all that racing in front of him because that allowed him to catch up. So you can hear the braking that has to happen as you go into that turn. And now we're down to 15 cars on the lead lap. So it is starting to become a battle of attrition out there, where guys are starting to fall off the pace and also get a little bit of damage that they have to go get repaired. So and we got a car out of shape. I believe that's Tyler Werner that got a little bit out of shape. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. That was Tyler Murray. Tyler Murray, different Tyler. So he got a little bit out of shape there. So Roman Long passes him, goes into 10th place. So we still got some racing going on out on the track. James Holtzer isn't really letting Jake Roel get too far away. He's going to keep the pressure on him and hope that Jake makes another mistake and spins out again. Jake Roel is leading by 0.3 seconds. He's got to get around some lap traffic here. That is number 64, Mike Eberhardt. So he's got to be careful how he gets around, and Mike Eberhardt goes to the inside. That's a classy move. Stays to the inside, lets leaders go past. That is one thing about iRacing that you might not see as much in real life, is there are some really classy guys here in iRacing that, you know, if they see the leaders coming, then typically they kind of get out of the way. They don't want to ruin anybody's night. Jake Roel, you can hear how much he's got to get off that gas, and then he picks it right back up at the apex of that corner. And we got, that's Chris Massey spinning out. So he gets back out onto the track, but it looks like he took some damage there. Yeah, it looks like a hard hit. Still green flag, but he is seriously damaged. He is going to have to get back to the pits. Nope, he's going to keep it out there. He's going to try to keep it going. Maybe hope for a quick yellow somewhere. And that is how quickly your fortune can change here. Chris Massey all the way back from 3rd place all the way back to 11th now with just one little mistake. Jake Roel and James Holtzer still going at it up at the front. Looks like Craig Lautenslager is in 3rd. Mitchell Brown, who restarted this time around in 11th, he is all the way back up to 4th place already. So he has definitely found something out there on the track, and he is going to look to track these guys down now. Chad Wampler back there in 5th place in the stake dance car. Brian O'Shell in the 03 car as well. So that's your top 6 right now. And all of them really within stone's throwing distance, about 4 seconds of the leader there. All right, since everybody's kind of spacing out just a little bit, let's go back and see if we can't find out what happened to Chris Massey there. It did not cause a caution. But you can see he just comes off the corner and just loses it. And when he loses it, he goes down. Oh, he hits the wall hard. That's going to cause some serious damage. Might affect the toe of the car a little bit. Might make it a little bit more difficult for him to turn. And so that's going to cause some problems. Now, he is still out on the track. He is back in 11th place, but he is struggling as David Duke tries to put him another spot down. Again, you can see the damage on the left side of that car. Chris Massey is just hoping for a caution so he can come in and get some damage repaired. And we've seen some serious cautions already. So I believe we've seen 6 now. So 6 cautions on the night. It's only been 80 laps, so chances are he might get that caution here shortly. But right now, Jake Rowell out front only by a quarter of a second. He hasn't been able to pull away this time around as much. James Holtzer reeling him in. And just to do a quick little check, Austin Reedy, 2nd place in points. He is back there in 7th place. So he is in the hunt to take down James Holtzer in his points lead, but he is going to have to do some work, and James Holtzer is going to have to come back to him just a little bit. So a couple things have to happen for Austin Reedy to get up there in the points lead here in the next 4 races. And a lot of it depends on him, but some of it depends on Holtzer making a little bit of a mistake. I'm trying to find any other really close action out of the track, and there's Brian O'Shell going to the inside of Austin Reedy, trying to take that spot, but again, Austin Reedy has that outside. Oh, and it looks like O'Shell's down in the grass. So just overdrove that turn a little bit. And so he is down, and he is going to drop all the way back, it looks like, to 13th position. And so just another mistake, just overdriving that car. But up front, Jake Rowell trying not to make another mistake like he did just a few laps ago. As that lead still remains. Oh, it looks like, who else is off track? It looks like Roman Long went off track there for a little while. And so he is going to drop back to 13th position. So all sorts of stuff going on the track. People just cannot keep these cars straight. And that has a lot to do with the way these corners are set up. So again, our 11 viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us tonight here at the Magic Mile 200 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Still a lot of time to go here. So it's not really surprising that you don't see too many people too close to each other right now. That racing will come a little bit later, I promise you. But right now, Jake Rowell, a newcomer to the league, he is out front by about 0.4 of a second over James Holtzer, who is not a newcomer to the league. In fact, he is the points leader. So new guy is kind of showing people how it's done right now, but James Holtzer is saying, don't go so fast, buddy. I'm right here with you. Let's see if there's any other close racing back here. So it looks like Chris Massey, David Duke, good friends off the track as well. They are doing a little bit of battle back there. So Chris Massey trying to catch back up after he spun and went down into the inside wall. So he has got some damage. David Duke, he is Mr. Consistency out there. He very rarely makes mistakes. He just waits for other people to make their own and then passes them. Not not a super aggressive driver. He is just very consistent. He is saving tires right now, saving fuel right now, hoping that this long run goes on, because that's when he will start catching people. And the gap up front, still 0.3 of a second. So people are pretty content to be where they're at, except for Mitchell Brown. Mitchell Brown looks like he might try to make a move here on Holtzer here shortly. Holtzer gets a little out of control, so that might allow Mitchell Brown right up there. Chad Wampler, he was in 6th place, I believe, and now he is coming down into the pits. So he is going to take an early pit stop and possibly try to gain some track position on the long term by pitting right now. And let's go back here. So Mitchell Brown in 3rd, trying to track down Holtzer while Holtzer is trying to track down Roel. So 3 racers right next to each other here, and this is a better racing than what we've seen all race. So we have been seeing the lead driver jumping way out front. Oh, it looks like Holtzer gets a little bit loose there as well. So out there in the chat right now, Justin Kruckman, another driver from Mid-South Madness League on Sunday nights, saying, good show, Sean. DuPont might want in. And yes, Joseph DuPont also watching the show right now. Joseph DuPont always wants into a race, absolutely. So, Kruckman, we're going to get you out here in this race next week. So we're going to have some fun with that. So it's at Daytona, and you're going to love that track. So come on out and join us for 4 Wide Racing next week. So while we were talking there, Mitchell Brown did make the pass on James Holtzer into 2nd place. He is going to attempt to track down Jake Roel at this point. But Jake does not like giving up the lead at all. Oh, and you can see Holtzer is way loose out there. He is sliding all over the track. He might want to pit here really shortly so he can get some new tires, because that car is on the verge of being uncontrollable right now. So Jake Roel, in an interesting line there, went way to the inside, and that allowed Mitchell Brown to kind of get right up next to him. And so you can see Mitchell Brown has tracked down these leaders, and he is going to try to get through Roel, but Roel's got some lap traffic to deal with, gets around Brandon Gillis just fine. And just like that, there's only 13 drivers on the lead lap now. And let's see, Brian O'Shell coming down into the pits as well. So a little bit of early pitting going on here, trying to get a little bit of track position later on in the race is what it looks like. So it's just a matter of time before these guys come down and get some tires. They're going to need them, because these guys that are getting fresh tires right now are going to have a huge advantage. Of course, they're going to be a lap down, but once the leaders jump into the pits, those guys are going to have some better lap times and a better chance to catch up here. So, and just an Austin Reedy checkup, he is up in 5th place now, so he is making the charge. He's only 2 positions behind Holtzer. So this could make it a little bit interesting. If he can catch up to Holtzer, might be fun for the points race. But Jake Roel still just maintaining that half-second lead. Everybody trying to catch him, and he gets a little bit loose as well. So those tires are definitely starting to give out. I think they're starting to give out for everybody. Oh, you can see him. Oh, he slides up into the wall. He completely lost it into the wall there. Just over. Oh, and he's starting to get loose. Looks like Holtzer's getting loose. Everybody's loose out there. Let's see if he does this corner a little bit better. It looks like he does. You just got to get that car slowed down so much. But that little mistake allows Mitchell Brown to get up on his bumper a little bit more. And Mitchell Brown's going to get to the inside. Can he hold it? I think Roel's going to get a good run on the outside. So Mitchell Brown's still back there in 2nd, but he is setting up Roel because Roel is really losing control of that car quickly. And Holtzer has fallen back, so he's fallen back about a second behind Mitchell Brown. So we are definitely having some troubles out there on the track with the tires and with sliding all over the place. And we've got 2 cars of lap traffic coming up here soon. So what is Jake Roel going to do? Which line is he going to take? Which line is Mitchell Brown going to take? And are these lap cars going to let them through cleanly? Roel's going to dive down to the inside. Looks like the lap cars are just going to stay up in the high line, stay out of the way. And so let's see if Mitchell Brown can make a move here in the next turn. It looks like he's starting to set him up a little bit. Not quite yet, but he is right there on the verge. And if Roel makes another mistake like he did a little bit earlier, running into the wall, then he is going to lose that lead. And now we're down to 11 people on the lead lap. Of course, a lot of that has to do with pitting, but not much. Actually, only a couple of guys so far have pitted, so we got a couple guys that might get back on the lead lap once the leaders start to pit, but right now, 11 people on the lead lap. So definitely. Oh, and James Holtzer, he is up into the inside wall. He is going to bring out a caution, a much-needed caution on the track, but not a needed caution for him. That is going to be some serious damage for him. He may need to use that fast repair a little bit earlier than he wanted to. That is going to allow people like Austin Reedy to catch up. That is disaster for our points leader. We'll go back and check it out, but you did see it live. But let's go back for a rec replay. And you will see he just comes off the corner and just loses it. And you can even hear it. So let's go back. Let's go into the cockpit cam. Let's see if we can't jump into the cockpit here. And you will hear how the car takes off. You can just hear that over rev, and that's all it takes. So now we've got all the leaders coming down into the pits. They all need fresh tires. So Jake Roel is going to lead them down. Now Chad Wampler, he pitted back on lap 87, so he's going to get back on the lead lap. Brian O'Shell pitted on back lap 91. And if he stays out, he's going to get on the lead lap as well. And so we will see who wins the battle off of pit road. And Mitchell Brown wins the battle off of pit road, it looks like. And I believe that Jake Roel is going to stay in a little bit longer, get some damage repaired, which he needs to after he slammed the wall coming into a turn. He didn't lose the lead right then, but he is going to lose that lead right now. So Mitchell Brown is going to be your leader, and he was our pole position leader as well. So everybody's going to have a lot of work to do to catch up to these guys. But you can see Chad Wampler still out there on the track in that number 87 stake dance car. He is waiting for the wave around so he can jump back on the lead lap. And it looks like, I'm not really sure where Brian O'Shell went. I think he may, I'm not sure what happened with Brian O'Shell. So he is still showing a lap down. He's showing that he's not even on the track. So I'm wondering if possibly he lost connection, something like that. So Brian O'Shell looks like he's out of the race at this point. So we're going to have Mitchell Brown in the number 51. He is going to be our leader. Craig Lautenschlager in second. And then Austin Reedy, who is second place in points right now, he is going to restart third. Nick Vizzutti, who is also in the points race right now, he is going to restart fourth. So let's go back into those standings here really quick. So Austin Reedy currently sitting in second place in the standings. He is in third place on the track right now. Nick Vizzutti in third place in the standings. He is currently sitting in fourth on the track. Tyler Werner, who is currently in fourth place. I'm sorry, Tyler Murray. Tyler Murray, who is in fourth place in the standings. He is currently fifth on the track. So third, fourth, and fifth place on the track. They are all out there in front of James Holtzer, who is currently sitting 13th on the track. So there is a lot of stuff going on, and this is huge points implications for that one little mistake that was made by James Holtzer by overdriving that corner and running into that wall. I'm not really sure if Holtzer used a fast repair or not, but he is back out on the track. He is still on the lead lap, but he's got some work to do. Looks like he's still got some damage there, so I don't think that he used that fast repair. But up front, Mitchell Brown, he is going to bring us to our green flag as the pace car dips off. And Mitchell Brown takes off. And he is going to start off with a nice little gap over Craig Lautenschlager. You can hear that engine. You can hear how much you have to get off the gas in order to make that turn. Mitchell Brown out front right now. Craig Lautenschlager in second, just about 0.4 of a second behind, and then everybody else trying to make their way up front. So out in the chat right now, Bandit Outlaw, this is Ballard. This is Robert Ballard. He says that it sucks that he's out of the race and that he'll be better at Daytona. So Daytona next week, don't miss out on it. It is going to be a fantastic race. I'm pretty sure we'll actually have even more drivers out on the track. Everybody loves to race at Daytona. But right now, Mitchell Brown loves racing here at the Magic Mile in New Hampshire, because he has opened up a 1.1 second lead on Craig Lautenschlager, and nobody's really challenging him at this point. Former leader Jake Rowell, who led a lot of this race, he is in fifth place and trying to get around these guys. He's trying to get around Tyler Murray and Austin Reedy, but they are kind of blocking his way as it sits. So he just has to pick a lane and hope he can get through. Looks like he is going to try to take that position from Tyler on the outside. I'm sorry, from Austin on the outside. 3 wide into the corner. And so it looks like Jake Rowell just passed Tyler Murray and Austin Reedy. He is going to move up into third place. He wants that lead back, and so he is going to try to track down Craig Lautenschlager next. "13 drivers on the lead lap here at New Hampshire. And once again, it's the magic mile, because in an instant, your lead can disappear. You know, your traction disappears. Everything disappears, just like a magician. Oh, it looks like Chris Massey might be off the track. He is. He is backwards on the track, and he gets into the pits. So he actually just towed into the pits. So that is going to end his, might not end his race, but it will definitely set him behind at least a lap. So Mitchell Brown really starting to pull away, a 1.5 seconds out front. Let's see who we've got back behind. So Craig Lautenschlager out there. He's a second, 1.6 seconds back now. Jake Rowell catching up to him. He is only 0.8 seconds behind Lautenschlager. So we're about to see a battle for second place here shortly. Then Austin Reedy is in fourth place. Tyler Murray in fifth place. Nick Vizzutti in sixth. So fourth, fifth, and sixth place, those are the second, third, and fourth place drivers in the standings. And all of them are ahead right now of James Holtzer, who is back here in 9th position. So he is actively trying to get back up there as well. And so big implications right now in the points. But up front, Mitchell Brown putting on a show right now. Almost a 2-second lead over Craig Lautenschlager. So he is on rails right now, just getting around the track here at a very difficult track to get around. Looks like he's from up in New England, so he might know New Hampshire really well. It's not too terribly far from him. And we can see Jake Rowell back up in 3rd place, and he is catching Lautenschlager right now. You can watch that time just slowly drift down and as he gets closer and closer. And he is possibly going to try to make a move here in this next corner. And Jake is really good at diving to the inside. Let's see if he does it right here. He doesn't quite take a huge dive down there, but yeah, he gets down to the inside while Lautenschlager floats up a little bit. So Jake's going to come off that corner, and he is going to get up in front of him. So Jake Rowell into 2nd place. And now he's got 3 seconds. He's got 3 seconds to catch up on Mitchell Brown. So Mitchell Brown has completely checked out of this race. He is just hoping that it stays green, because if it does, he is going to come away a huge winner here. David Duke just made a pass on Tyler Murray, and that's going to put him up in 6th place. He is going to put his nose in the middle of these 3 guys that are all fighting for a points championship. David Duke, fantastic racer out there. Like I said before, Mr. Consistency. You can see he doesn't overdrive anything. He takes his line, he takes his time, he gets around the track, he stays clean, and that's how he wins. So these longer races, these 200-lap races like this one is, this is really where he shines, because he can outlast people. Looks like we got a little bit of pressure back here between Chad Wampler and Cade Gimbel. Chad Wampler has something on the back of his car. I'm not really sure what that is. Let's see if we can get a good view of it. Oh, that's actually Chad's face. That is Chad's face on the back of the car. So not sure if we can get a closer view than that. But yeah, really, there it is. That's a great view of it. So Chad Wampler's face on his own car. And that back bumper smashed up a little bit. Not sure if that has to do with him or not. But, man, he's a fun racer. He is definitely a good guy to be around. Up front, Mitchell Brown still maintaining that 3-second lead over Jake Rowell. Jake is still actively trying to track him down, but it is going to take quite a long time, or a mistake from Mitchell Brown, which we really haven't seen any mistakes out of Mitchell. He is about to catch Roman Long and put Roman Long a lap down. If he does that, then we only have 11 drivers on the lead lap. And really, everybody for the most part has kind of spaced out a little bit. There's not any huge battles going on out there on the track right now. So we're going to stay up front here with Mitchell Brown for a little while. And yeah, it looks like, I think Chris Massey is he's taking himself out of the race, is what it looks like. I don't see him anywhere on the track, and it doesn't look like he's getting repaired in the pits either. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But Mitchell Brown out front makes that pass on Roman Long. So now only 11 guys on the lead lap. He's going to start to track down Cade Gimbel here shortly, and try to make it only 10 people on the lead lap. Jake Rowell not really catching up too much on Mitchell, so he's still 3.2 seconds behind. Craig Lautenschlager still kind of right there, about 3/4 of a second behind Jake. But then back in that next pack, so Austin Reedy leading that next pack from 4th on back. Austin Reedy, then Nick Vizzutti, then David Duke and Tyler Murray. So Austin Reedy, Nick Vizzutti, and Tyler Murray, those are the three guys that are really wanting James Holtzer, who is back in ninth right now, to really make mistakes so that they can gain some points as we go into Daytona, which is really a wild card. Next week is going to be a blast because anytime you have a restrictor plate race, it is difficult to determine who is really the fastest driver. It's kind of the way that Daytona drives, it's kind of who can just stay the cleanest. So here we are, 122 laps in. We got Mitchell Brown way out front. Jake Rowell trying desperately to track him down, but still losing time. So Mitchell Brown is almost 4 seconds ahead. Brandon Browning, he is with us here up in the booth. Brandon, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, man. Just sitting here, tuning into this race and just watching what seems to be pure domination by Mitchell Brown in the number 51.
He was our pole sitter. And he fell back just a little bit. Jake Rowell led a lot of this race. And Jake came onto the radio and said, I think I can put some distance on these guys. And then Jake hit the wall. So, or Jake spun out. He spun himself out. And so now Mitchell Brown just takes the lead after that pit stop. And he has not looked back at all.
Yeah, and it seems for me, when you talk about Jake Rowell, he's pretty solid just about every single place that we see them go to. He's quick, and he's never one of the guys that you want to count out. Even now at about 4.4 seconds back, Jake could just be saving his stuff. About 75, 76 laps to go, 75 this time by. Jake still has plenty of time for anything to erase that deficit that Mitchell Brown has put on these guys. And if there's anyone you don't want in your mirror on a restart or on a short run, Sean, it's that 19 car.
Absolutely. Now we're seeing Chad Wampler gets into the pits a little bit early, just like he did last pit stop as well. So he dove in a little bit early to get some fresh tires, maybe a little strategy move for him.
Yeah, and that's not a bad strategy here. This is a flat track, so new tires still yet going to make you that much faster. Obviously, on a banked track, when you run in a banked track, and you have the tires, but you also have the downforce of the corners, it kind of changes things. It's able to equalize the tires. But here, once the tires are shot, Chad Wampler's got new ones, and you see he's going to blend right in behind our leader. And I don't think he's going to stay there too long. I think you'll really see the difference in the tires amongst Chad Wampler and our leader, Mitchell Brown. Hopefully Mitchell, kind of paying attention. Chad Wampler getting on the radio saying, hey, I'm coming, because here he is inside already.
Yeah, and it looks like Wampler's kind of staying out of the way. He doesn't really want to scare the leader too much here, but he definitely needs to get one of these laps back because he is going to have to find a way to get back on the lead lap. He's 2 laps down as it sits. If he can make this pass, he'll only be a lap down at that point. Oh, it looks like Jake Rowell. Jake Rowell ran off the track. Not really sure what happened there. He's going to jump into the pits.
Saw a little bit of left rear damage, and it looks like left front damage as well for the 19 car. So maybe getting down, tagging that inside wall. We'll see. Not sure whether or not he will take the damage repair here, try to hold off on that. But just looks like even, going worse, Sean overdrove. We did see a fast repair go off there for Jake Rowell in the number 19, but bad going to worse if you're the driver of the 19 car, because not only did you, run off track, maybe have a little bit of damage, but you also overdrove your pit box a little bit. We still see Chad Wampler trying to pressure our leader, Mitchell Brown, wanting to get that lap back. And I know Chad, I know Chad as a person, he's probably just likely trying to stay out of the way. But if you're Chad here, yeah, there he goes. He's going to have to push the issue and use those tires while he has them, Sean.
Yeah, but he's going to get back only a lap down. And you see the black car right there behind Mitchell Brown. That is Jake Rowell. So now Jake Rowell is 2 laps down as it sits.
Yeah, and I don't think Jake will be as patient. He won't be as patient trying to get his lap back with Mitchell Brown, especially because he knows you're going to see this 19 car run probably what's going to be his fastest laps of the race, Sean. He's going to try to equalize not only the distance that he lost because of the wreck, but the distance he is behind because of pit cycle. So he's going to come out 70 laps to go here. Will have to make one more pit stop at least if he plays his cards right. Got to try to get all he can get on the 51 now. And by being inside of the 51, unless he checks way up, not going to be able to pit this time. So yet again, another lap on the racetrack where the 19 is going to get a gain time on our leader. However, though, Sean, I don't know that he's going to cycle out as second place. I do believe Craig Lautenschlager may take the spot, who has cut his deficit to the leader within 6 seconds as of right there. So, varying pit strategies here. I can't expect Mitchell Brown to stay out too awful long here unless he just feels that he is sheerly that much faster than these guys. Now, the unfortunate side for Jake Roel, for Craig Lautenschlager, these guys who may try to get new tires, which we haven't seen Lautenschlager pit yet, but if we do, obviously they want to catch the 51 in a weird cycle, Sean. You don't want to allow him to run too far in. If let's say Jake short pitted, maybe 15 laps sooner than he should have, so that means the 51 can run 15 laps longer, and he's going to lose a ton of time to Jake Roel. But when he does take those tires, it'll be a world of difference because they'll automatically be at least 15 laps newer than Jake's.
And while let's switch subjects here really quick. So out on the track, we've been watching Austin Reedy, who is in second place in the points, and James Holtzer, who is the leader in the green Clover car right there. So that is the gap. Austin Reedy really needs a good race in order to gain some positions. You can see he just got a little bit out of shape right there.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Austin Reedy in that 11 car, it seems like anytime he's running good, James Holtzer in the 88 is not too far behind. So that makes it hard. You can run your best laps and even win the race. But the problem being, Sean, is if that 88 finishes second, it was all for naught because you don't really gain anything by having a good run if the guy you're trying to chase down has just an equal run.
Yeah, we've seen both of these cars get into a little bit of trouble today. And so that's why they're shuffled back in the pack a little bit. But hopefully here in the next 66 laps, we will see a little bit of a change either one way or the other. If James Holtzer somehow finds a way to win this race, he might put a lock on this points championship.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. Again, if you go back and you're talking about Austin Reedy, because you're not really allowing him to do so because you're shadowing exactly what the 88's doing. But just as you said, Sean, it could be too little too late for Austin Reedy in that 11 car trying to close the gap on what has become a must-dominate situation almost for the 11 because you need anyone to kind of make contact with that 88. And I know, likely...
there he goes again.
And that's likely going to allow the 88 to close the gap, maybe put pressure on for position, which will be unfortunate for Austin Reedy. Obviously, anytime you're behind the car you're trying to chase down, not going to gain any points. But as I was saying, also if you're Austin Reedy, you don't really want to wish... David Duke!
That's going to be a yellow flag.
That's going to be unfortunate for Jake Crowell in the 19 and the other guys that did pit there because you didn't get a cycle through. I do believe Jake may have only been trapped one lap down, but we'll take a look here at the rec replay and see what's going on.
And so let's find out what happened here. It cuts to it a little bit later than we want it to. Let's see if we can find out if he just came off the corner wrong. We've been calling him Mr. Consistency all day, and yep, that's exactly what happens. He just loses it.
Hard contact, Sean, with that inside wall. Not really sure if he was running that Jimmy Johnson throwback car. I couldn't tell the numbers on that car. I think he may have been trying to run that guy down just in front of him and maybe pushing the car just a little bit over the limit, trying to close the gap, and, ultimately didn't work out for David Duke in the 79. But we do see our leaders this time coming down pit road, Sean. So a big change for the cycle that ended early for Jake Roel. Obviously wanted to find his way back through the cycle and see what he had gained, but not going to be the case here as of now.
And yeah, speaking of just closing the gap, here we go. So Mitchell Brown into the pits, and we will see if he can get out of there first. James Holtzer right behind him there in the Clover car. You can hear him revving up, getting ready to get out of there, and Mitchell Brown will win the race off of pit road. He will maintain that lead. Nick Vizzutti will come up in second, and then Craig Lautenschlager in third.
I will say, though, Sean, I know I know the strategy here seems a little off by what Jake Roel has done. However, if you're Mitchell Brown in the 51 and you pitted here, you do have new tires in Jake Rowell, who I didn't see pit, so he should cycle through as if not the leader, one of our top front runners. The difference is actually going to be when Jake now makes his last pit stop, he can make it earlier than the 51. The 51, I don't believe is going to go all the way here. 60 laps to go next time by. A little bit long for him to run. However, once Jake does get to the end of his fuel run and makes one more stop, he will be good to go. So that was the unfortunate part about the 51. Yes, he got new tires, but he's going to be a little bit off on a weird cycle, whereas to if Jake Rowell pits, we'll say 20 laps before him, Sean, and it doesn't fall that far behind, has a near perfect pit stop, a near perfect cycle, so to speak, with no more cautions, Jake could be sitting in the catbird seat now.
Well, look who's in second right now, Nicholas Vizzutti. And we've talked about him before a little bit, but let me pull the standings right back up here. So Nick Vizzutti up in third place in the standings. So if he has a fantastic race here and he can hold off James Holtzer, then he's got a shot to possibly not necessarily move positions this race, but at least cut that lead down a little bit.
Yeah, and same thing for Tyler Murray there in fourth. We see that he lost a spot last week. However, a 1-point difference between him and Nick Vizzutti, a 21-point difference between Austin Reedy. So if we see, Austin Reedy, James Holtzer in a little bit of trouble here late in this thing, Sean, it could change things much for Tyler Murray and Nick Vizzutti on the chase down. I think if you're back to 33 car Tyler Werner, I think you're just too far out to make anything. But certainly, just being 55 points out is Tyler Murray. If Holtzer was to miss a race or, have some trouble early and really not capitalize and gain a lot of points, that could play big.
Well, you can see the last 4 races, that gap has been getting smaller and smaller for Austin Reedy. And so, once again, if we just have a good race here for Austin Reedy and not necessarily a good race for James Holtzer, we could see some fantastic racing with 3 races to go.
Yeah, and that's got to be worrisome. I know in another series that I'm in, I had been the points leader all race long, Sean, and officially lost it tonight in the playoffs, and it's worrisome. So if you're James Holtzer, Austin Reedy, you got to be worried. But this time we have Mitchell Brown back on the loud pedal. He's taken off like a rocket ship, Sean, back out and green, going for it.
And he just doesn't leave anything out there at all. He takes care of all sorts of business on that restart. He's going to jump out to a 3/4 of a second lead right off the bat.
Yeah, and I was mistaken. It does seem like maybe Jake Rowell was taking a wave around there to get back on the lead lap. We see him back in 9th. So same for Chad Wampler, back on the lead lap at 10th. So wave around's coming for those 2 drivers, and that's not what you wanted to allow to happen to Mitchell Brown here, Sean. I think if you're those guys, Chad Wampler, Jake Rowell, they're on a little bit older tires now, but if you can pick up some spots after getting your lap back, maybe see one more quick or semi-quick caution, you could kind of pin Mitchell Brown in a weird strategy here where you're on newer tires and you've closed the gap. But we do see for the moment, back in our race, we were talking about it just a moment ago, our race for the championship, there's about 2 cars between James Holtzer and Austin Reedy. So that's going to be big. 3 cars maybe be back there behind James Holtzer. Not really sure if there was a 3rd car squeaked by Austin Reedy. No. So just 2, but still yet every position counts at this point if he wants to continue to close the gap.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to do if Holtzer doesn't make big mistakes, because even if he wins this race, even if Austin Reedy wins this race, if James Holtzer is even in 6th or 7th position, that's really not that huge of a points difference.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to go at some point. You've been able to chip away, but at some point you have to have the big one. You have to have the major gain race where you equalize yourself. Austin Reedy, that's the exact opposite of what you want to do, Sean.
And he is going to drop back, looks like into 8th place, maybe into 9th. He's got some damage on the car, it looks like.
Yeah, and that's, that doesn't help, especially when the 88 car James Holtzer is keeping himself clean and clear, trying to go for it, not really, now Jake Rowell going to find his way inside, so definitely maybe a little bit slower run here for the damage on that number 11 car.
Well, up front, somebody that's not slow, 2 seconds ahead of everybody, Mitchell Brown. Now, we just had James Holtzer pass Tyler Werner for 2nd place. out there on the track. So he is going to start to track down. Maybe not. Maybe Tyler Werner might get this pass right back.
Yeah, and what's worrisome if you're James Holtzer in this spot, Austin Reedy, Tyler Werner, and Mitchell Brown, all teammates, Sean. So that's tough if you're trying to make up ground. You know, Tyler Werner, Mitchell Brown, obviously not going to give you an inch as their teammate tries to run you down. Right now, it seems, just looking at the chats in Discord, James Holtzer is a lone wolf out here on the track, not finding himself any teammates to help him try to seal his points lead.
Well, he's the points leader right now. Who needs teammates?
Yeah, and that's certainly for sure. However, you know, a teammate up there to hold Austin Reedy up definitely helps, but unfortunately it seems almost as though Austin Reedy has kind of shot himself in the foot here, obviously needed another gain. You don't want to have any losses after the progress that you've came through the field, you know, down, I think, 78 points at one point and knocked those back away. Right now, for Austin Reedy in the 11 car, the two battling in your mirror is obviously fantastic to see. The 5 car, is that Gimbal in the 5 car? Or?
It is. It's scored as the 2 car, but it is the 5 car on the track.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure there that I wasn't totally crazy, but Gimbal and Roel right now battling is helping Austin Reedy. That's 2 spots. He doesn't have to worry about losing. Obviously had some trouble. Not where he wants to be, and just trying to capitalize on what he has left here with just over 50 to go.
Let's see if he's making any headway up here. He is within 2 seconds of Mitchell Brown, but that's pretty much where it's been staying for the past couple laps.
Worrisome for the 51 car here. I know we just pitted. However, once we start closing in on the pit cycle again, you have to equalize with the 88 if you want to stay ahead of them. James Holtzer has proven week in and week out that he knows how to run a car down when it's ahead of him. So right now, Mitchell Brown leads just over 2 seconds as they enter 1 and 2 this time. But the big factor, Sean, in about 2 or 3 laps sooner pitting than the 51 when we get to that point, that gap will all be erased. Equal tires still yet at that point, and James Holtzer will have the pressure put on. So I know we just come off a pit cycle, just went back green, but you have to be already thinking about things like that, don't you, Sean?
You definitely do, but one thing that I don't think that Mitchell wants right now is a yellow flag. So just anything that he can to keep James Holtzer 2 seconds behind him, I mean, that keeps the advantage out there. But if a yellow flag comes out right now, then they are on even keel, and we've already seen James Holtzer throughout the season. If things are all even, he is typically the better driver.
Yeah, and that's, you know, you never get to the points lead by being the worst driver or, you know, the lesser of the two. So right now, if you have to give the props to anyone, it's got to be that 88 car, James Holtzer. He may have slipped a little bit in his points lead, but until you slip it all away and you take it from him, he's still the man to beat. And we saw him, just as I said, week in and week out here on Speed Racing Network, continue to show these guys how he got that point lead. It certainly wasn't by fluke. And he's doing all he can do right now to close the gap to the 51 car because he wants to just hear championship clinched, Sean. He doesn't want to allow the rest of the season to matter. Realistically, you know, we've seen it tonight in the other series that I run. Non-playoff drivers, non-championship eligible drivers don't really have, in a lot of situations, Sean, the same respect for the guys who have worked hard all season to get where they are. Right now, about a 5-position difference between Holtzer and Reedy, so that's what you want. But these are lap times at the line. We will see now as they update. It looks like pretty much equal that time by, Sean. The previous lap was a different story, though. We saw Holtzer about a 10th faster than Mitchell Brown out front.
And look at Vizzutti. He is starting to catch Lautenschlager as well. So, but right now, Holtzer and Brown definitely the fastest two on the track.
Let's see this time by one more at least on the lap times. Want to see the difference because it seems to me that the gap is slowly shrinking. Maybe not a lot, but just a little bit. Yep, yet again, a 10th, almost a 10th and a half faster than Mitchell Brown. And you can see as he's up on the wheel, up on the top of the groove, We will continue to watch the difference, but if you're James Holtzer, you can't afford any mistakes because right now you guys pitted at the same time. The tires are the same, and you're still faster, Sean. So that time, Nicholas Vizzutti, though, back at an update from him, he was still faster than Lawton Slogger, but not in the 30-second range. But this time, neither were our leaders.
0.2.
Almost a 2/10 difference from James Holtzer. And Sean, driver to driver here, talking aside from the broadcast, I'm beginning to think that maybe James Holtzer's starting to get in the head of Mitchell Brown. We'd seen him check out and be long gone by this point, but now, when you're at that point, he was able to open up the gap on Jake Roel, but it hasn't been the case for our championship series leader, James Holtzer.
Let's check lap here, 31.005 and 30.972. So again, not very much there, about less than 0.1 seconds, but still Holtzer reeling him in slowly but surely.
Yeah, and I don't mean, if we have any guys that can have contact that are in the same room as Mitchell Brown, or maybe the same chat if we have any of our drivers from their team watching. I don't want to be that guy, but I know it's short track racing. I know it's a flat track race. However, that 88 car is almost in draft zone. So he'll be able to start pulling down the straightaways, and that's going to become a problem if you're the 51 of Mitchell Brown, Sean. He's going to have that draft that adds 2-3 mile an hour per straightaway, and it's going to be tough to continue to pull away.
And we're getting into lap traffic here again, so that could do some damage as well to that time.
I just almost think that this is Holtzer's race to win. He right now he's in second place. He's content with that, I'm sure, as the championship leader. However, you just keep the pressure on. Don't push your car over the boundaries for your comfortability of driving. And he does just that there. He's going to get a little higher than anyone wants to get here. But now he just has to keep the pressure up. Mitchell Brown, the first car to all the lap down cars. So they're going to obviously give him a tougher time than they'll give Holtzer. He's got the same tires. He hasn't allowed Mitchell Brown to pull away. And I think that's what shows big. But Mitchell Brown this time by the line going to gain 2/10 on Holtzer.
Man, just kind of looking back through the pack right now, so Jake Roel, who led a lot of this race, he is back in 8th place, and he's pretty much stuck back there. He is 12 seconds away from the leaders right now. So his race might come to a quick end unless something happens.
Yeah, if we stay green here, I think 14 seconds back behind the leader is a little too much to narrow on old tires. So if Jake Roel's back there saving the tires, trying to make it one last run, now's the time you got to go, buddy. 40 laps to go, and that's, quick lap times that we see them run here, just over 30-second lap times. Not going to take very long, likely about 20 minutes if we stay green. So Jake Roel on the verge of losing what could have been his race to win. 31 seconds a lap, 14 seconds back. You almost have to be half a second faster.
Oh, yellow.
That's going to change things. That puts
and it's
the
Jake.
Pressure on Mitchell Brown.
And it is Jake Roel who brings out the yellow. And we will go back and we will find out what happened there with the Dent Wizard Rec replay.
I think the reaction of those construction workers there in our rec replay is kind of reminiscent of Jake Roel's race right now. You got to get out of the way, and you're just driving as hard as you can drive.
Yeah, you can see him. He drove it as hard as he could, and he just spins right out. Those older tires definitely did some work on him there. So that will effectively end his chances to win this race.
Well, I will say, Sean, he never made contact with anything. Kept it clear of literally everything. Almost got the wall there, but missed it. So if he has a set of tires, he remained on the lead lap there, not really going to go a lap down. So now coming down to equalize, get fresh ones, and maybe if he can make up a few spots and get through the field, maybe still have a chance at a top 5. But I do think his opportunity to win is going to depend seriously on how hard the 88 and the 51 race each other, even if he gets to 3rd.
Well, 37 laps to go. There is definitely enough fuel in there now to make it the rest of the way. And so this could be it. This could be the last pit stop of the entire race unless some other cautions come out and everybody takes a risk to come back into the pits.
Yeah, and man, that 51 car. Did he take 4 tires there, Sean? I didn't think he was.
I'm not
did.
Man, that's a bold strategy if you're the 51, especially on equal tires with Holtzer back there, which actually it seems like a lot of cars didn't take a whole bunch of tires there because it looks like unless Holtzer had damage, he came out, it's showing in the 11th spot per the ticker at the top. So obviously wasn't the second car out. So again, could be detrimental if you have the 88 and the 19. Take tires there and start way back. You see Austin Reedy probably got 4. Jake Rowell off of 4 now with 4, I'm sure. Still not seeing the 88 car, though, Sean.
Well, honestly, so Mitchell Brown did take 4 tires based on my times in the pits. And so nice job there. James Holtzer had to stay in the pits an extra 17 seconds to repair some damage, it seems like.
Oh, and that's tough. But then again, that becomes more fearsome if you're the 51 car, because that 88 car who had 17 seconds of damage was just as fast and faster than you were, Sean.
That is terrifying, but with only 36 laps to go, can James Holtzer work his way through 8 other drivers to get back up to the front, including his rival Austin Reedy?
And that's exactly what you wanted if you are Austin Reedy in the 11 car.
And so, yeah, definitely. He had to see that happen. And Austin Reedy's probably smiling right now. I mean, never wishing ill on anybody out on the track, but he's got to be smiling that he sees the points leader back in 9th position and him up in 6th.
Yeah, especially when you look at the guys out in front of him. You have Mitchell Brown, who's a teammate. Tyler Murray right now, a teammate. Tyler Werner, a teammate. So of the cars ahead of him, they are 3 teammates. So if Austin Reedy gets a good run here and those teammates say, hey man, go ahead, take the spot, you're running down the points leader, we're not going to put you in any type of way. The only guy he really has to worry about out front is going to be Nicholas Vizzutti.
And he does have to worry about Nicholas. Nicholas is an extremely fast driver, but not sure if he's as fast as Mitchell has been tonight. Mitchell, I mean, again, pole position has really shown that he can break away from the pack. So this could be the restart that really seals the deal for him if he can get a good one.
Yeah, especially with all the gaps between all of the cars that we've seen run him down. But just a couple rows back now, Jake Rowell has found himself back in this with new tires. Can he make his way? But Mitchell Brown, yet again, Sean, hard, great restart, fast and on the throttle. They're 3 wide going into turn 1. I don't know that they're going to make it out the other side, but we will see. Austin Reedy, Jake Rowell, clearing Tyler Murray, who likely said, not today, guys. You guys can take the spot and go. But right there on the heels of Jake and Austin Reedy already, Sean, James Holtzer in the 88.
And Jake Rowell just driving the car deep into each corner. He does not want to stay back in this pack very long. And there he goes, gaining another position. He's already up to 4th place.
Yeah, and he's about to take 3rd away from Tyler Werner. I'm afraid maybe the hard way.
That was close.
Tyler Werner up the racetrack near contact with the 19 of Jake Rowell, but you can't say the man has stopped trying. We saw him just about 4 laps ago backwards on the racetrack. Could have been disastrous, but now has cleared Tyler Werner for 3rd place and sets his sights on Craig Lautenschlager as the first runner-up in this race.
And Mitchell Brown has got to hate that look, because Jake Rowell was so strong early in the race, and those cautions helped him get right back into this thing. Mitchell Brown did not want to see that.
No, and it's going to be even more fearful if the 88 continues to knock off spots, because him and the 11 are just back in 5th and 6th. So Holtzer trying to rebound from the 17 seconds of damage he had, and he's doing it well so far. But just up in front of that, I saw the 19 within a car length now of Lautenschlager for 2nd.
And he is going to keep that pressure on. And we've talked the entire race about how aggressive of a driver Jake is and how that's really served him well in the short runs. But when it gets to a longer run, those tires start to wear out really quickly.
Yeah, and that time off of 2, Austin Reedy got a little loose. I do believe likely allowing James Holtzer to take the spot back. So another spot for Holtzer trying to run down the 19 car as well. I think if we stay short runs here, Jake Rowell has the best chance. But unfortunately, I think if we go green to the end, James Holtzer may have something to say about this, Sean.
But Craig Lautenschlager holding his own up there, not letting Jake pass. But while they're racing back there, Mitchell Brown has opened up a 1-second lead.
Yeah, and Jake hasn't really been able to capitalize on his, restart zone ability. He was on new tires. Everyone was bunched up, and he's still driving it as hard as he can drive it there. That Furniture Row 19 throwback to what Martin Truex Jr. did in the 78. Of course, now the 19 driver as well. So I like the pairing among the two, but it would look so much better in Jake's mind in victory lane, Sean.
And right now we're staying back here on second and third, and I know a lot of people want to see what's going on with Mitch Brown up front, but he is just kind of driven away a little bit. He's a second ahead of Craig Lautenschlager and not in any damage or any danger right now. So we're going to stick here with Craig and Jake and see what develops here.
And I think that may end up being the race for Jake's chances almost, Sean, because if he doesn't get around the 13 soon with no caution, there's not a shot he runs down the 51, who's likely putting up his best mock qualifying runs currently. Jake putting the pressure on through 3 and 4. If you're Craig, the 19's faster. You've got to start thinking, maybe I should let him go, because right now you have an opportunity to allow the 19 to go. You settle into third for a while, but if Jake keeps pressuring you, you see the next car behind that 19 is James Holtzer again in the 88. So one spot could turn into two very quickly here, Sean.
Certainly could. And so Mitchell Brown has now opened up to a 1 1/4 second lead. So while these guys are doing some good racing back here in the back, he is just loving life.
Yeah, and unfortunately for him, he has to be running those tires a lot harder than, we'll say, Craig Lautenschlager, who right now has just kind of used his momentum as a way to stay ahead of Jake Roel. It's not really a, hey, I'm able to hold it at this point. It's just he's running the line that Jake wants to run, and Jake trying to search around and find a faster one. Not going to be the case. You worry about contact, though, once we get late into this thing. It's got to be frustrating for Jake. He has nothing to race for here. He's not running for a championship, but he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, and he can punch his name into history here if he could just catch that 51 car and get the win.
And while all that's going on back here, James Holtzer in fourth place, trying to track down Roel while he's racing against Lautenschlager, and he is catching them quickly.
If I had to guess, the 88's likely the fastest car on the racetrack right now. We were sure of it before, but this time, man, he's really passed a bunch of cars, and you see the gap he's put on the driver Tyler Werner behind him. Just looking this time, actually the fastest car on the racetrack, Sean, is going to be our leader by just a hair over James Holtzer. So if we get a caution, it's worrisome. I know I've said the word worrisome 101 times already, but as Mitchell Brown, he's so far back right now that you have to be comfortable, but a caution erases the deficit that James Holtzer's facing. We'll see this time by. Still yet another 5 for our leader, a 7, an 8, and a 6 for the cars behind him. So that time a 10th faster than everyone else, but now James Holtzer is there. The ability to take Jake Roel, James Holtzer, both loose off of 2 that time. You can't say they're not trying to catch the guys in front of them there, because they're giving it everything that they have, trying to make up the gap.
Well, if this thing stays green, then Mitchell Brown, he's already out to a 2-second lead, and he is not looking back. He's been the fastest car on the track for the past 3 laps, and so if this keeps up, there's just nobody that's going to catch him.
Yeah, and I think that's the toughest spot right now is you're back there. You could see the leader, but you can't catch the leader, Sean.
Really not much any of them can do. Craig Lautenschlager just doesn't have the car for it, it doesn't look like. Jake Roel can't get around Craig. Oh, he's going to make a try right here, but he might get it.
I think with Craig getting a little loose off the corner, going to get up there, get his arc back into the corner. So now Jake has to use all that he has left in that 19 car if he wants to close the gap, because with just 22 laps left, he's about, 2.2 seconds back?
No, 2.6. 2.6 right now, actually.
So more than a 10th faster than the leader he'll have to be just to get there. Looking at likely 2 to 3 tenths on some laps in order to...
That's not going to help him.
That's not going to help him, the 13 or the 88. So 2.7, almost 2.8 now. So, man, you really have to put down some super fast laps here if you're Roel.
The only thing that can save these 3 cars in second, third, and fourth is a caution at this point.
You know, honestly, Sean, I'm not sure if even that will save the guys back here if they don't have the ability to go and get tires when the caution comes out.
I mean, really, the only chance they have right now is a caution comes out and everybody from second all the way back to 10th all pit. If that's the case, then they'll have brand new tires on Mitchell's tail, because Mitchell might not want to pit because he loves where he's at right now. He doesn't want to lose the track position.
Yeah, and this obviously, I know it's likely something you hit on early in the broadcast, Sean. If you drove this track yesterday, it's going to drive totally different than it drives today. We got the new model drop for the season today, so not really sure how that will affect these guys.
And neither were they either. And so during practice, we saw them sliding all over the place. And so we don't really know what that new tire model did, what that new what the new update did to anybody. And these guys really didn't have a lot of time to prepare. That update finished updating, I believe, around 3 o'clock Central today, and we started racing at about 8 o'clock Central.
I will say I ran a 140-lap race at Kansas, Sean, and it felt almost like there's less downforce now. So what you were seeing between Jake and Craig Lautenschlager there may not have been a line issue of where, Craig was running his line. There's just no downforce when you get to the backs of the cars, and we'll likely see the same thing here with the 88. If the 19 doesn't get loose, it'll be so hard to get past. Both James Holtzer and Jake Roel were able to get by Lautenschlager when he slipped off the corner, so no straight-up passes have been made in a while here. And just from my point of view, that's almost how it feels, is there's less downforce than we've seen before.
And you can see them sliding all over the place, and usually these cars are the most stable of the bunch, being the Cup cars. But, I mean, with all the practices these guys put in all week long, and then all of a sudden everything changes in one day, just kind of puts everybody at a disadvantage, and Mitchell Brown is just really taking advantage of that.
Yeah, and, that's the really crazy thing here, Sean, is if we ran this race last night, as I said, Mitchell Brown may not have been a top 10 driver. He could have been one of the guys way back in the pack. It just right now, and I'm not saying that he would have been, but he could have been. And right now, whatever this package is that we've gotten for this season, it's suiting the 51 car right now.
He is out there absolutely on rails, killing it. He is out there. Nobody's going to catch him unless something happens on the track.
That's got to be in the back of his mind, though, as he comes this time to take 15 to go, especially with second and third. James Holtzer and Jake Roel racing as hard near each other as they are. A little bit of a gap now, but any of the guys back in the pack, I see there are a few that are close together. Any of those guys make contact, and that race is different.
This is actually the closest race on the track right now. It's about 0.3 of a second. Austin Reedy trying desperately to catch up to James Holtzer so he doesn't lose points.
And that's another driver that we see needing a caution here. Austin Reedy wants one more shot to finish ahead of James Holtzer, but James Holtzer has been so strong here late in the Magic Mile 200 presented by Speed Racing Network. 4 Wide Racing is the guys behind the wheel, the drivers of this series, 4 Wide Racing. So definitely thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out here with us. What has been a dominating show as of the late race for Mitchell Brown.
And there is Mitchell Brown, the number 51 car, with 13 laps to go now, just hoping that nothing happens on the track.
Saw James Holtzer that time off of 4, peak low, like he was trying to get a nose inside of Jake Roel. So maybe another spot here in just a moment for that 88 car. If he can just...
Oh, and they tap!
Oh, contact is made. It's going to open the door now for Lautenschlager back to have a shot back at third position.
We have a yellow flag. And it's Austin Reedy and Tyler Werner getting into each other. So that will end Tyler Werner's, or Austin Reedy's chance, as well as Tyler Werner's.
Yeah, and that's a rough late race caution, but no one hates it more than the guy leading, Sean, who just so happens to be teammates of the 11 and the 33. So I wish I could be a fly on the wall in their Discord chat right now.
Oh, I'm sure there's some words going on, but let's go back to a Dent Wizard Rec replay and see if we can't figure out exactly what happened back there between these two drivers.
I would imagine it's more of what we saw, the 33 car loose off the corner making contact with the 11, but we will see right now.
Nope, looks like the 11 just gets loose, gets out of shape, comes back up, and there's nowhere for the 33 to go, so the 11 just overdrove it.
That was a really hard hit for the 11 car, too, our championship runner-up right now, and going to hurt his chances of doing what he's been trying to do for the last several weeks.
If he can get in there and he has a fast repair, then he's got a shot to get back out. But I'm looking right now at his pit time, and he is still in the pits after 25 seconds in his pit box. So that means he's got some damage that has to be repaired. His race is going to be over.
I think Lautenschlager may have got a couple drivers there.
He did. Lautenschlager comes out in first. So now Mitchell Brown, who led a ton of this race, and looks like Lautenschlager only a 10-second pit stop. That's right side tires only.
If even right side, Sean, that could have just been a full tank of gas for that 13, maybe a little bit of damage repair. We saw him tank slap the wall with the right rear, so maybe right sides, but man, unless they did some major changes in Season 3, Sean, I'd hate to be the guys behind the 13 on this restart because we've seen two tires at many, many racetracks, especially the flat ones, just upset the balance of the car.
Well, all he has to do is make it 10 laps without Mitchell passing him, but Mitchell has been the fastest on the track by far, and he has 4 fresh tires. So even if Lautenschlager did take those right sides, and even if those right sides are all that he needed, still, is he the fastest car on the track? I just don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case either. And right now, honestly, my pick with 10 to go, James Holtzer. He knows he likely just heard driver chat. You know, hey, it was Austin Reedy that spun around. Right now is your opportunity, bud. Go out there and win this thing, and you could just or definitely lock up the championship from here. I don't want to say he has that shot, but certainly, Sean, it'll be a step in the right direction when the team or when your opponent that's running you down has a little bit of trouble and you go out there and you park it in victory lane.
Well, the other guy that's out there, Jake Roel, he is up there in 4th place, and he's going to have a shot at this too. I think he's going to get the outside line, and when he gets that outside line, is if he doesn't let James Holtzer, dive in, then this could be Jake Roel moving into 3rd place behind Mitchell and Craig, and then you just never know what's going to happen. So Jake is one of those drivers that he tries to drive that car in super deep and just hopes that it sticks.
Well, the bad news for the 3 drivers in front of the 19, he's wicked loose after about a 10-lap run off of the corners. But, Sean, we're not going to have 10 laps to go here, so that could be scary.
Yeah, we've been saying all race long, the short run is Jake Roel by far. But the long run is Mitchell Brown, and now we're going to see those two kind of come together, and we're going to find out what's the difference between a short run and a long run. Is it 10 laps? Is it 5 laps?
Look for the 88 here. He's got a few gaps if he loses positions. Look for him to dive underneath both of our front row cars entering turn 1 and try to come out the other side as the leader. Get us going, Sean.
9 cars on the lead lap. Craig Lautenschlager is going to bring us to the green. And it looks like he spun the tires a little bit. So that's going to allow Mitch Brown up there. And here comes James Holtzer on the inside.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was waiting on from James Holtzer. He was going to poke that nose, but he's going to lose the momentum to both the 13 and likely the 19.
Contact!
Contact! The 51 was clear of it no matter what happened, but now Jake Roel has taken the 2nd spot. Oh, a deep drive from the 13, having to get on the brakes. And look at Jake through turn 3. Coming off of 4, can he continue to run down Mitchell Brown, who's been in his own zip code as of late.
And now as things sort out, James Holtzer has to figure something out to get past not only Craig, but now to get past Jake and Mitch in order to win this race. Not sure that's going to happen here with 7 laps to go. These 2 cars are super fast in front of them.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't know that Jake's going to be able to close the gap. He's diving it into the corner, so early in the corner, he's been gaining time right about here, but off the corner. With the way Mitch Brown runs the racetrack, he just stretches the gap.
And Mitch Brown, I mean, he doesn't even take that super deep line, but look how close to the wall he is coming off the corner. he uses every inch of that track.
Yeah, and I think one more caution is what Jake Rowell's going to need if he wants a shot. He was a little further back, so the gap that you see right now, I know Mitch has stretched it a little bit, but for the most part, that's the gap that was the difference in them coming through the chaos that happened in second and third.
So 5 laps to go now. Mitch Brown, he has the advantage here. He's got the line. Jake Rowell has to figure something out, but then he also has to watch his back because here comes James Holtzer.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate for Jake there, he tried a little bit of a higher line to equalize with Mitch Brown, but Mitch Brown saw it coming and moved down half a lane, didn't allow the draft off the corner. Now Jake is going to likely be under fire in turns 1 and 2 this time by the 88 car.
Oh, it looks like Lautenschlager was in the wall just a little bit there, so this is going to come down to 3 cars now, I believe.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to be a 2-car race for second because yet again, Mitchell Brown almost at 1 second over Jake Rowell in second. They're wide off at 2 there that time.
I want to say that was Roman Long in the 99 that got really far to the inside there, kind of a little bit out of shape, but that's not going to bother Mitch Brown up front here.
No, we saw James Holtzer there in the corner of the shot, sliding off of 4, going to relieve the pressure that was on Jake Rowell for second. But here is the money drive for the 51 of Mitch Brown. 2 laps to go, 2.5 laps right now, 2 laps to go this time by. You just need about 8 more perfect corners after this.
And it's going to be hard to lose this lead now because 1 second lead with 2 laps to go at this racetrack. I mean, you would have to really make a huge mistake here. So here comes Mitch Brown basically on his victory lap.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's going to be. 2 to go, as we said. Now, with the completion of 1 and 2, just 6 more corners. Jake sideways. There's going to be a caution.
No caution. No caution.
No caution. So that's
wow.
Huge. That's huge for James Holtzer. And if you're Mitch Brown, now you take the white flag the final time around the magic mile. He's just about conquered it, Sean, and seemingly for the last about 70 laps, Mitch Brown has just been absolutely flawless in his drive. Hasn't even seen a mistake come out of the 51 camp, so I can't imagine we'll have one in 3 and 4.
And here he comes to the finish line. Mitch Brown with a fantastic drive tonight to win the Magic Mile 200 here at New Hampshire.
Congratulations, big congratulations to Mitchell Brown, because it seemed like that car was driving itself for much of that last run. He didn't really seem to effortless almost to watch him race the Magic Mile.
What a great run for him. Really had a lot of chances from some other drivers to cut into that lead, and nobody could keep the car on the track except for Mitch Brown.
Huge win here, and I imagine we'll see Mitch just burn it down off of turn 4 here. He's coming to the line to do his celebration. I'm more interested, though, in the points race now because James Holtzer didn't get it done, but second on the racetrack, so you know exactly where you want to be.
And it looks like Austin Reedy finishes back in 10th after his wreck, so James Holtzer is going to gain a lot of ground.
Tell you what, man, even these donuts are on point from the 51. Not much more you could ask for if you're Mitch Brown.
That is absolutely true. Let's see what we can do to figure out what all happened here as far as the results are concerned. Here at the Magic Mile 200. So Mitch Brown, first place. James Holtzer, second. Craig Lautenschlager, third. Nick Vizzutti in fourth.
We have Tyler Werner bringing it home 5th, Cade Gimble in 6th, Roman Long in 7th, and Tyler Murray in 8th.
Then we have Jake Rowell, who really had all the shots in the world to take this thing and just overdrove the car a few different times, but he's in 9th. Austin Reedy, who had a chance to close the gap on James Holtzer but could not get it done, he's in 10th. Brandon Gillis, Chad Wampler in 11th and 12th.
We have Mike Eberhardt, who was 43 laps behind, but in the 13th spot. David Duke 14th, Chris Massey 15th, and Brian O'Shell 16th. Sean, round us out there with the top 20.
And Robert Ballard had a bad night. He said so in the chat himself. He can't wait for Daytona next week. He was 149 laps down. Jay Gimbel, 162 laps down. Wayne Rayburn Jr., 164 laps down. And Steve Waldrop actually didn't actually get into the race. So we had 19 drivers out there on the track. Only 9 of them finished on the lead lap. So just complete domination by Mitch Brown tonight. Let's see what we can do to kind of get some of these guys in here to speak to. Let's start off with Craig Lautenslager, our third place winner. See if we can't bring him into the booth. Hey, Craig, Sean, and Brandon up in the booth. How's it going, man?
Going good, man.
Man, what a good drive for you. You had some shots at it, but you were just super consistent out there. How was the track tonight?
I mean, first time I ever ran this track was in practice earlier today, and didn't really like it too much. Just couldn't figure out anything about the corners of this track, and then kind of just took it conservative early on, and then eventually kind of figured it out as I went along. And after a while, I had a pretty good plan to keep it consistent. But
well, buddy, I do want to say I'm with you. This is probably my least favorite track on the circuit, and when I'm not broadcasting, I race as much as anyone, and even me couldn't have helped you out with figuring this out. But we did see you play the strategy late in that thing, take the lead, but just a little bit of the older tires allowing tire spin. What more would you have needed to maybe get it done and have a shot at Mitchell Brown?
probably to have run this back when it was on A Official. I could have bought the track then and done that. That would have helped me out a lot instead of just trying to, I don't know, figure it out last minute. But I don't know. It would have been hard to beat the 51. He's obviously really good. He dominates every time he comes to this thing. But yeah, I took a risk there at the end with the 2 tires and didn't really pay off in terms of possibly winning the race. But I felt that the risk of everyone else having 2 tires and me only having 1 set was a lower risk than me taking 2 and everyone else taking 1 side. So it played out that way for me.
Well, man, what a great drive for you. I mean, 3rd place finish, definitely great. We are going to get you back down into your chat. Is there anybody that you want to thank? Any sponsors, anything like that?
Oh no, not really.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll get you back down there. Have a fantastic night. We'll see you next week at Daytona.
Yeah, it'd be good to be there.
All right. All right, now let's see what we can do to get James Holtzer in here, and he's chomping at the bit to talk to us. Yeah, he actually just asked me in the chat, why don't you ever bring me into the booth? So we're going to bring him into the booth right now. We're going to talk to him and find out what he was thinking in that last couple of laps. But you also got to remember, man, this is the points leader. He had everything going his way tonight. Just didn't quite get the win, but man, he's going to gain some ground on the 3 guys that were trying to catch him in points. So James Holtzer, Sean, and Brandon up in the booth. How's it going, man?
Finally get to talk to you. How's it going?
How's it going? Yeah, every time you're out front, we're all talking about how far out front you are, and then it ends up going right back to green. So sorry we keep missing you, but yeah, man, you had a great race tonight. You had a chance for the win, but more importantly, you solidified your lead in the points championship.
I mean, that's what I heard you say whenever you first brought me in and said that I did a really good job. That race I got lucky in some points. Whenever I spun there, I had some pretty heavy front end damage that I elected not to use the fast repair. So I was rolling with about 2.5 minutes of damage there for a good portion of that race, but was able to stick on the lead lap and eventually made the decision to go ahead and use that fast repair. And we kept the car completely clean other than a rear end scrape off the wall. And then I think it was the next to last pit stop, I had a speeding penalty. So I was EOL and was able to get back up to P3, which was huge. But wasn't expecting Craig to spin the tires that hard because we really didn't run that many laps on those tires. And I really wasn't planning on going low. I was planning on push them into the corner. And I didn't want to get run over. And I was just trying to manage my points lead overall. So I went low and I kind of went down a little bit too low and went below the yellow line and got tight. And we did really good at getting through there 3 wide. He kind of pinched me low, but we all made it. We both almost wrecked a couple times before we got to the backstretch, but more importantly, we all took care of each other and got a free spot to the 19, who I was talking to all race. I don't know how he was getting so much out of that right rear, because after about 20 laps, it really started to struggle the handling out of the rear, and I was just watching him turn down around the track, and then he lost it a couple times. But I don't know. We got a good result, good race. Now next week is going to be important because super speedways are typically our most numerical for driver-wise races. So definitely going to have to hang and just try to keep the car clean and Narsard lead. We led a lap and we finished, I believe, 8 positions above the 11. So it should get us 9 points. So we should be back to where we were before last week's events points-wise on him. And I don't know if Vizzutti or Murray would have passed him in points. I'm not sure how close they all were, and Warner. But yeah, did what we had to do this week. I wish we could have won, but one position worse ain't too bad.
Not at all, man. So, yeah, we've got the point standings kind of pulled up before this race, and it doesn't look like Vizzutti or Murray is going to catch Reedy, but it does look like you definitely gained some ground on Reedy. So, may just as long as you keep it clean here in the next couple of races, you might have a championship.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've finished second place in every championship that I've ever competed in my life, so never have gotten one on racing. This would be the first one I'm competing for on iRacing, but really I race a lot of leagues in NASCAR heat, but I race in a lot of the premier leagues. So shout out to eSpark if any of you guys are watching. Typically I'll run their car sometimes, so thanks to eSpark and Filter Time. They sponsor our NASCAR heat league, so thanks to them for pushing me on the track, because they're all super fast drivers, and that's all going to translate in me obviously pushing and wanting to be good over here on iRacing. But yeah, don't want to count our chickens before we have them hatched, but it looks like we're putting ourselves in really good position with only 3 races left.
All right, buddy. Well, we will let you get right back to it, get back to celebrating, and we will see you next week at Daytona, where you will have that points lead going into it, and hopefully have that points lead coming out of it too.
Yeah, if we leave without the points lead, that'd be a pretty bad day.
That would be a bad day. It really, truly would. But all right, man. We'll have a great week. Congratulations tonight.
Hey, thank you, and thanks for the broadcast. We appreciate it.
No problem, buddy. All right, and so let's see if we can't get Mitch Brown in here and talk to him about his dominating victory. Mitch Brown, Sean, and Brandon in the booth. How's it going?
It's going.
Man, what a fantastic race. You had that thing on rails all night.
Yeah, we just kind of, our mindset coming in this race was just to take it easy. Didn't have a lot of practice. We just took it lap by lap, and I guess I don't know. I guess I like this track a lot, so this track very suits my style, my driving style. But happy to get another win.
I do want to say, buddy, I don't say this to too many drivers, but holy cow, watching you drive this thing, man, from about 70 to go, even to the end of the burnouts, man, it was like everything went absolutely perfect for you. How do you carry that momentum next week into Daytona?
Just gotta think positives. Daytona is it's basically a crapshoot. Anybody can win there. So we just kind of mindset is to Daytona is just to try to get to at least 20 to go, and then see what happens from there, because anything can happen in the last 20 laps.
Well, and I know James Holtzer was just talking to us, and he said that usually these big super speedways, we have more drivers out there. And we've seen some more drivers here in the past few weeks than you guys normally have. There have been some kind of outside drivers, and one of them was Jake Rowell, and he kind of put some pressure on you there for a little while. What are you seeing out of these new drivers?
I think it's needed, and I think it will raise the level of competition in the league. It's nice to have new faces each and every week, and hopefully these guys that are new to the league, stick around and try to run the rest of the season out with us.
All right, man. Well, 3 races to go next week, Daytona. We will see you there. Congratulations tonight, dominating victory, and we will see if you can do it again next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, man. Have a great night.
Congratulations.
All right, Brandon, well, let's talk about next week just a little bit here. So we do have Daytona. So it's the Daytona 185, week number 21. Only 3 weeks to go in this season for anybody to try to catch James Holtzer. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but if it happens anywhere, it'll be at the wild card of Daytona.
Yeah, and honestly, man, there's so much that could take place next week that we just can't account for right now. Realistically, the saying anything goes is the exact situation for Daytona next week, because realistically, anything goes. You go in there with a comfortable lead. It's such as we see James Holtzer have an early 3-wide battle ends up putting him way behind. So who knows what really could happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic race. Can't wait to get there. Only one fast repair. That's the fun part about this league. At a place like Daytona, you just never know what's going to happen. So we will see everything that happens that time, or that week, next week, here on Speed Racing Network. But for now, for Brandon Browning, I am Sean Griffith. Everyone have a fantastic evening. We'll see you next week.